Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Today, we have a very helpful homemaker's tip from Phyllis Diller. It is as follows. The best way to get rid of kitchen odors? Eat out. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance on a Tuesday. Good morning, good morning. Thank you very much, Kate Smith, and God bless America, and I certainly hope you will again. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell, and our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service. Call them at 734-6969. Get rid of your garbage. Oh, good morning over across the river and through the brooks and through the woods and with horseback, etc. Here's Scotty Cameron. Good morning.
Well, good morning, kind sir.
How are you?
I am having the greatest day of my life.
There you go. That was good yesterday, and it's good again today. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Scotty is filling in for Gina as Gina takes a well-deserved little vacation, and I've got to say that I've got a double threat over there of just great people working and helping me out, and that's, of course, Gina and Scott Cameron. Thank you so much. And, Scotty, do we have a pledger?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead, caller. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, Zeb.
Hey, Kilt Man.
Yeah. Good morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, that was perfect. Thank you very much. Hey, by the way, a little bit later on this morning, I'm going to be talking about a college professor in Denver that is rewriting the pledge and forcing students in his class to say it differently, and believe me, you're not going to be happy about it. Thank you so much for calling in.
Suit in habit.
All right. Hey, God bless you, man, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, my friend.
All right, thank you. Merry Christmas, everybody. I got my bells right there, thanks to Al and Polly. Let's go to the weather right now. We got a whole bunch of things to take care of this morning. And going to the weather, brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for their blue door. Their number to call, 678-6945. The best of carpet and flooring, kitchen construction, home decor, all the Christmas decorations. Whatever you need to make your house a home with Kyle and Whitney Cheney. Wonderful people right there at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Like I said, look for their blue door, Cheney Flooring and Home Design. Right now, here is Michael Rogers' weather.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Let me get serious for a minute with the weather with respect to truck drivers. And you guys know exactly who you are because you'll be heading across Interstate 80 going through Northern California, Sacramento. You got a big storm coming, and it's going to be huge. It would not surprise me if they shut that road down. Everything is going to get started pretty much on Wednesday night and Thursday. So just to keep this in mind, I know you're busy. I know you're just driving. But when you get to Sparks, especially toward Reno, and they shut that road down, you know why, because they're going to get quite a bit of snow up on the hill. That being said, What are you going to get out of that storm as it makes its way west to east? You're going to get rain out of it. You're going to get a lot out of it. It's going to get started about Thursday, going into Friday. Yes, you will get snow as you work your way toward Christmas. I already checked the computer models already, so it looks like you're going to have a white Christmas. So other than that, you got yourself a nice day for the day and tomorrow. 57 for the high today, 59 for the high tomorrow, 32 for the overnight low. Once again, truck drivers, be advised. You got a big storm out west, and you're going out west, and this is a busy time for you going and delivering your loads out west. Be careful. The worst of it's going to be heading right over Donner Summit, Interstate 80, as you're going towards Sacramento. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
You know, that's what I like about Michael Rogers' weather. He really lets you know what's going to happen, regardless of what you are, what you do for a living, and where you're going. I really appreciate that. Brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. Wonderful people. Right now, I want to remind you, too, about Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley, 678-9411. Write that number down, 678-9411, and call Merv May, Cade Rogge, and Lance Udy. The sale that works for you every Thursday at 10 a.m. And believe me, if you've got consignments to this sale, they're going to work for you to make sure you try to get the best prices for your cattle, and that's Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. That number again, 678-9411. Thursday is sale day at Burley Livestock Sale Yard. We have got a lot of things to cover, and I want to remind you again that on Thursday we're going to be over at Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert, and we're going to do the whole program over there. And in the first hour, as long as they last, and last year they didn't last very long, we're going to have free cinnamon rolls over at Valley White Home and Ranch from Sophie's Chatterbox. Oh, they are good. We're going to have great in-store buys. We're going to have all kinds of clothing on sale. Ken Mort is going to be singing Christmas carols. Don't miss the remote broadcast this Thursday, and that, of course, will be at Valley Wide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. One of our great sponsors, also just right next to Valley Wide, as a matter of fact, is SafeLink Internet. Idaho's number one choice for wireless internet, 17 years and counting. SafeLink Internet services, no contracts, no credit checks, unlimited data. They are good. We've been with them for many, many years. SafeLink Internet services, you call them, get on the program, 677-8000. That number again, 677-8000, SafeLink Internet, serving you. Another reminder, too, that Thursday is also going to be Lunch Bunch Day. So if you're going to come on over to Valleywide early in the morning, 8 to 11, and then go to Denny's Restaurant, yes, for our Lunch Bunch. And we also want to say thank you to Smith's Food King, Walmart, and Hanson Mortuary for just some of the great gift certificates and door prizes. It's going to be our combination Thanksgiving and Christmas Lunch Bunch at Denny's. Please don't miss it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Get all spruced up for the holidays, and make sure the drapes are all clean. Make sure that the tablecloth's all clean from Thanksgiving. Make sure you look good. That's right. Stop into Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Kevin and Cindy and the rest of the crew are there to take care of all your clothes, your drapes, anything that needs cleaning. They are the best. And don't forget, you can buy those prepaid gift cards from Daryl's Cleaners. What great gift ideas and great stocking stuffers they are at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I got to tell you that there are certain things going on in the news that when you hear them, you want to possibly take off your Tony Lama boot and throw it right through the TV set. There is a Colorado professor at Denver's Metropolitan State University. I do not know as much about that university as I should. I think it's a liberal arts college. But according to a paper published by Campus Reform, this Dr. Charles Angeletti, an admitted socialist and atheist, is forcing students in his class to recite a pro-communist new pledge to what he calls racist America. I thought about doing the pledge that he has forced his students to say in the classroom on this program, but I decided against it because I don't want to give this man any credence. I don't want to slander our Pledge of Allegiance that we do every morning on this program. And I just don't want to give the man any more publicity for his blatant attack of our values with our Pledge of Allegiance by promoting his socialist and atheistic programs. And I was amazed as to how he could stand up in front of a classroom and demand, that's the part that really upsets me, is that students are following like sheep, and demand that the students in his classroom recite the pledge as he has rewritten it. He needs to be challenged. He needs to be put down, and he needs to appreciate what America has done for him and all of the students in his classroom. And he has decried family values people for their role in creating a climate of fear. That's the kind of man he is. Listen to that again. He goes on to denigrate family values people because he said they are creating a climate of fear. And he said we are scared to death of anything un-American. Well, Dr. what's his name again? Charles Angeletti, socialist and atheist, teaching our kids with a pledge of unallegiance to the United States of America. It's sickening. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Mentioned Valleywide Home and Ranch a moment ago, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Holy cow, are they going to have some store specials for you on Thursday and for the rest of the time up to Christmas? Don't forget to enter the Naughty or Nice drawing at Valleywide. All you have to do is bring in an unwrapped small gift, put it in the box, buy the Christmas tree, and your name will be entered for a $100 gift card drawing. Ooh! And you can also donate cash and your name will be entered. All of this with all the clothing specials, everything at Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. You stop over and see those good folks today. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget our friends also at Ramsey Heating and Electric. They have ridden the horse with me for a long, long time on this program. Ramsey Heating and Electric, and they remind you that if you want that furnace to work well and stay working, you'd better make sure you change those furnace filters. And they've got the best of quality, underline that word, quality air filters at Ramsey Heating and Electric. You can buy one or a package, and your furnace will thank you with the most efficient in heating. You'd better believe it. It's going to save you money. You stop in and see them today. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Yeah, I think that college professor out of Denver needs to be deported to Cuba, and then he could really appreciate the United States.
Let me ask you, I'm fed up, and I guess maybe I'm going against their free speech, but you know, in this case, I don't care. I am fed up with what's going on in our schools. I'm fed up as to what's going on with people trying to denigrate America. I'm fed up with people saying that they hate this country. I'm fed up with politicians saying that we're bad people and that we're not treating others fairly. You know what? This country is the best country in the world, and if you don't like it, get out.
So yeah, there's nothing stopping him from leaving, you know. Don't let the door hit you on the way out, you know, is my opinion. If you really don't like our country that much, leave. Yeah, it's the greatest country in the world. All you got to do is travel around the world, and you soon to find that out. Generally, this guy hasn't traveled.
I have traveled around the world, and I have seen other countries. I have seen the chemistry and makeup of what they've got, and I'll tell you what, when I landed back in New York at JFK, I easily had tears in my eyes and thought, you know, I am blessed that I live in the greatest country in the world, and I absolutely abhor people that denigrate this great land.
Well, I do too, because it really shows their ignorance. Because if this guy's supposedly a college professor, he's not very well learned. That's all I had to say about that.
No, and I appreciate your phone call. Thank you so much, and Merry Christmas to you. Thank you.
Merry Christmas
Thank
to
you.
You
know, we've got people that hate Christmas. We've got people that hate Christians. We've got people that hate our Constitution. We've got people that hate the ethics of this country and what we've done over the many 200-plus years. We've got people that can't stand the way this country functions. But why? Have they ever been anywhere else? Have they ever lived underneath another government? Have they ever had to really adhere to what other governments are going to demand? And yet we have these loose cannons that absolutely are driving me nuts by denigrating our country. And many of them are our so-called political leaders. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Don't forget our friends at Berry Equipment and Rental. Oh, my goodness, do they do a wonderful job. 3 locations in Twin Falls on Addison Avenue West, South Lincoln and Jerome, and that new one that's right down the road from me, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. And they've got all the Coyote tractors, and they got the Bobcats, and they got the big Doosan loaders. Have you seen those? My goodness, can they get the job done. They've got all the equipment you need to get any job done right. Where? Berry Equipment and Rental. Twin Falls, Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, what that professor needs is a good old Army, Air Force midnight blanket party.
Al, you've been around here for a long, long time, and I hope you're not offended. You're, what, 81 now? 80?
Yep.
Okay. Why have we lost, in many respects, pride in America and what America stands for?
Because you let all these people come in from overseas, from these countries that want to see us taken down. We're letting them get along with it. We give them free food, and we give them housing and all that stuff. And all they're doing is sitting there behind our backs, figuring out how they can take this great country down to their third world level, which, to me, we didn't fight to keep ourselves respect and all that stuff for all these gimmes to get what they're getting while we're told to go to hell.
But Al,
exactly what's happening.
I think you will agree with me on one other point. Caller, stand by. I'll be right with you. I think there's another point. It's not just people that are coming in from other countries. Look at what's happening internally with the White House and the Department of Justice stirring the pot on racism, like in Ferguson and New York, Staten Island, etc., and creating a white opportunity and saying that the whites are getting more and creating a great big mess internally right here in this United States.
I know it. Hannity and them had a bunch of that on last night, and I just got sick and tired of watching that crap, so I went finished watching the Green Bay almost get warm.
Hey, you know something? I almost used a can of deodorant at the end of that game.
Yeah.
it was Sweat City.
We got to straighten it up because I'm getting sick and tired of these pundits coming on and criticizing this United States.
Amen.
Mister, if you don't like it, I'll put the first dollar in for your ticket out of here.
Well, I'll match funds. Thank you very much, Al. Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
God bless you. Denny's Restaurant. Caller, I'll be right with you. Don't go away. Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley, the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. We told you we're going to be over there on Thursday for our Thanksgiving and Christmas party combined. It's going to be fantastic food, fantastic service. We're going to have fun. We've got a lot of door prizes thanks to Smith's Food King, Walmart, and Hanson Mortuary. Oh, come by, and we'll all say Merry Christmas to each other. And don't forget, on Thursdays, we also have something special. We give away a certificate to Denny's Restaurants in Burley and Twin, where you can use the certificate to build your own Grand Slam breakfast. Don't forget, that's going to be on Thursday. I'll give a question, you give an answer. Denny's Restaurants in Burley and Twin Falls, the best. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Now, these public schools that all this stuff is going in on is being supported by you and I through the school levies. Now, when we vote for the school levies, we should have an optional section on the voting ballot to decide what they're going to teach in these schools. And if they're going to start teaching this communist stuff, we're just going to quit supporting the school system. And that's it.
Do you remember a phrase that has been recorded for history? Boy, all of a sudden I've got a lot of static on the line here. Nikita Khrushchev back in 1963 said that we will take over America without firing a shot. And as much as we are denigrating ourselves from within, you know something? His words are very prophetic.
Oh, absolutely. And I think even the Republicans that took over just about everything in this next election are going to help lose the country, because they're going to have to vote for this immigration bill, whether they like it or not, and eventually that's going to kill the rest of the country off.
Well, Tony, I'll tell you what, we're going to keep fighting here, and I'm going to be, in just a few minutes, we're going to be talking about the torture report from the CIA, so stay tuned, and we'll see what your thoughts are. Appreciate it. God bless you, man.
Okay.
Thank you. Hey, don't forget Gary Shoresman. What a wonderful man, and I'm privileged, really, to know Gary, and I've got a copy of his books right here on my desk, as a matter of fact, and you should, too. What do you mean? Well, he has got his books now at the bookstore on the square in Rupert and the Minidoka County Museum. These are phenomenal Christmas presents. Absolutely keepsakes for generations. All of his books, every one of them about the historical value of what happened right here in southern Idaho. You're going to love them. Great books for the history buff, and like I said, keepsakes for generations to come. Gary Shoresman and his books at the bookstore on the square and Minidoka County Museum. You stop in and get those today. Also, real fast, I want to remind everybody what's going on with my friends in Twin Falls, Quali's Electronics. Have you ever been to Quali's? You better get in there and talk to Bruce, the old race car driver. Yeah, he is. And Steve and the rest of the crew serving you at 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. Oh, my goodness. They've extended their hours for your convenience. They're open 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday and 9 to 6 on Saturdays. And they've got all the televisions. They've got all the home theater systems. They've got everything at Christmas sale prices that you can't afford to pass up. You're going to get something for the whole family. All the folks will enjoy what you purchase at Quali's Electronics, 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. All right, calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We're going to do the Capital Press Ag Minute, and when I come back, I want to take the next part of this half hour to discuss torture and the CIA report that the Democrats want to release at the option of hurting not only America, but also our allies. And we're going to get into that in a few moments. Don't forget that our good friends, and they are at Pacific Steel and Recycling at 320 West Main in Burley, are offering helping hands for the holidays where you can bring in 2 canned or non-perishable food items and get $10 more per ton for scrap iron and 5-cent bonus on aluminum. All of these folks are always helping at Pacific Steel and Recycling. Really good people. 320 West Main in Burley, or you can go to their website, pacific-steel.com, and they are helping those in need. Right now, here is the Capital Press Ag Minute.
The Capital Press Ag Minute is brought to you by OnlyAg.com.
The new cropping systems agronomist at the University of Idaho's Aberdeen Research and Extension Center is planning research projects to better understand how crops use water. Dee Lang will research the region's major crops, including wheat, barley, sugar beets, potatoes, and beans. She's one of 4 faculty members the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences has hired during the past year to serve southern Idaho. In Parma, Olga Walsh started in October as a new UI agronomist. UI also recently hired Chris Rogers as a new barley agronomist, helped by an Idaho Barley Commission endowment, and Yi Wang, who will fill a new potato storage position in Kimberly next year. With the Capital Press Ag Minute, this is Hannah Brose.
To receive instant, exclusive, unlimited access to the West Agricultural News Source, register your account today at capitalpress.com.
And brought to you by some really nice people that are always helping the community, and that's Pacific Steel and Recycling at 320 West Main in Burley, 678-2321. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to lay this out real quick. A torture report, that's what they're calling it. Right after 9/11, the Bush administration said that it's not going to happen again. They're not going to sneak up on us. They're not going to run planes into our towers. They're not going to kill 3,000 plus of our citizens without us knowing about it or getting the intel. So they started with the CIA obtaining information. And when I say obtaining information, I mean they got the information necessary to keep us safe. And some of the do-gooders in our society, some of the lollipops, they got all upset and said, oh, we can't do that. We're the United States of America and we don't torture. We don't do things like waterboarding. We don't do things like that. Oh, shame on us. Wait a minute. Hold on. To keep our country safe, to keep you and me and our children and our grandchildren safe, how dare you, anybody out there in Radio Land, tell me that you're going to jump on the bandwagon of the liberal do-gooders and the lollipops and say, oh, no, we can't do anything that might obtain information. Why, we're the good guys. We don't do things like that. I have said this before on this program, and I'm going to stand behind it. I will not weaken, even with some of these lollipops that send me these emails that hate me for what my stance is. If it's your children and your grandchildren or your wife that is being held captive in an area where you know that there's going to be a bomb going off because there is a terrorist held captive, he won't say anything about what's going on. He's keeping a closed mouth and won't give out any information. How dare you sit there and tell me that you wouldn't resort to any means necessary to obtain that information to save your family and your children? As the families lost family members in 9/11. I know many of those people that lost family members. I know fathers that lost sons when the Twin Towers went down. I know mothers that lost daughters. How dare you sit there, anyone, and tell me, oh, well, no, we don't do that. Why, we're just above that. You're going to get that information and save your family member's life, the same as I would. And I don't care if it resorts to cutting each toe off at a time, cutting each finger off at a time, or pulling out finger. I don't care. That terrorist life means nothing to me over and above my family. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And now the Democrats, with Dianne Feinstein, want to release over 600 pages of over 2,000 circumstances that they think the Republicans and conservatives should be punished for, because we obtained the information. And some of the lollipops are saying, well, it didn't do any good, it didn't really gather any information. Au contraire. Many people in the military, many politicians have said, no, that's not true. We did garner a lot of information that stopped or stymied a lot of other cases against the United States and saved lives. Come on, don't hesitate. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to remind you about my dear friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, Nick Greenwell and the rest of his staff. After today, I've got to go up to Boise today, as a matter of fact, and have a procedure done on my back, and then I'm going to start back again at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. They are the best with all the mixes of exercises, and they've got the hydrotherapy pool, and the the staff is so well trained and so nice and efficient. I'm telling you, folks, put the number down there so you can call them for an appointment. 678-1191. They help you get back to being you. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Oh, by the way, Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street on the Square in Rupert. They're open for breakfast, lunch, and supper Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., Saturdays and Sundays, 6 to 2. What a bakery. What a bakery. Wedding cakes, cookie bars, homemade bread, delicious cinnamon rolls at Sophie's Chatterbox on the Square in Rupert. All right, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I am really, really shocked that more people haven't called in on this subject. The animosity and, quite frankly, the politics that is being played right now with the Democrats and Feinstein wanting to release this report for nothing more, no other purpose than to embarrass or try to embarrass the Republicans and the conservatives and hurt some of our allies that were also involved in obtaining intel that we needed to keep the world safe. What is the reason? What is the reason other than that for releasing this information? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, that Feinstein, somebody ought to smack her right in her mouth. I mean, she helped voting for all this stuff to keep it, get information. Now that she's like Schumer and them guys, they want to, backpedaling. Well, I don't know anything about it. That's a bunch of horse crap, and she knows it.
Al, I am really, really concerned, like Charles Krauthammer has said the last couple of days. Once this report is released, it's going to be very, very hard for us, the United States of America, to find allies that want to go in with us and obtain that intelligence.
That's right, and that people like Feinstein and Schumer and all them guys, they ought to be taken to task in front of the whole Congress, censured, and say, now, either resign or we're going to do something else. And they have the right to do that because they are breaking the law themselves because they voted for that crap, and it's not all what they think it is. If you want to drive a Muslim up the wall, just take a piece of pork and stick it in front of his nose. See how fast he crawls like a crawfish.
Well, I'm saying that it doesn't necessarily just pertain to one segment of people or another. What it is protecting us by getting the intelligence in the means necessary to make sure we don't have another 911.
This administration hasn't protected us one damn iota, and you know that, Jeb.
I have never argued that point. I have never argued that point.
Have a good one.
All right, sir. Thank you. Caller, I'll be right with you. Please do not go away. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. I'll be right there. I promise. Stand by. Snyder's Surplus. I remember we did a remote broadcast over at Snyder's Surplus with their new store at 112 South, 200 West of Rupert. Same location, but brand new building. And, of course, brand new merchandise. And I was very much impressed with, I don't know how in the world they keep track of all their inventory. They've got items over there that, man alive, I don't think you'll find anywhere else. So stop over. I mean, whether you need wool blankets for the cold nights or sleeping bags for the hunters or special hiking shoes or whether you need certain kinds of furniture like couches, recliners, and file cabinets. I mean, the list goes on and on as to what they have at Snyder's Surplus. 112 South, 200 West of Rupert. You stop over and see those good folks today. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, Zeb, I don't know what it's going to take to make the American people understand that this country is under siege from within and from without. We've got massive riots going on all over this country. And then we still got those training camps, and I know darn well we've got people waiting in there to pull more attacks on this country. Mm-hmm. What's it going to take? A bloodbath?
Tony, I can't answer that question because I fear that question. I don't want to answer that question because I think the answer is one that nobody wants to hear. But I am very, very upset that the lollipops in our society would sit back and the last time I mentioned this on my program, Tony, I got a lot of heat. I had a lot of emails and people said I was a warmonger and people said I was a hate monger and people said that, oh no, America doesn't do things that way. Oh no, we're above that. No, when it comes to protecting my family, when it comes to protecting you, Tony and Mary in Twin Falls. I will do anything to get the information. I think you would too.
Absolutely. I've been in a lot of countries in the Far East, and I've seen what life is like over there, and the American people don't know what it is that they're going to lose in the future.
Amen. Tony, thank you again. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
God bless you, man. Thanks. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. I want to remind everybody, too, let's see what my next commercial is here. Oh, Valley-wide Home and Ranch Christmas. Yes, sirree. We're going to be over there this Thursday, day after tomorrow, for a great big remote broadcast at 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Please come by and sign the guest book and say howdy. Glad to have you. And there's going to be free cinnamon rolls the first hour, as long as they last, and great in-store buys, clothing, and Western boots on sale. Holy cow, you don't want to miss this. It's going to be phenomenal at Valley-wide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert this Thursday for our remote broadcast for Christmas. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Seb.
Yes, sir.
I'm kind of irate. Dianne Feinstein is mad because we're pouring water over people's heads, but they're cutting people's heads off.
Yes. Yes.
She is definitely either socialist or communist. I believe communist. And there's no doubt in my mind that if it was her kid over there, she'd want as much information as we could get.
Carl, you served in the Navy and you were in the submarine service. And you have served our country and served it well, and God bless you, you're a dear friend. But where do we draw the line on this? I am not above, and I'll use the analogy again, that if we caught a couple of terrorists or one terrorist, and we knew that they were going to have a bomb located at a building or whatever that might not only cause havoc, but also kill many, many citizens, family members, wives, husbands, etc., how dare anybody say that they wouldn't get that information by any means possible?
Zeb, I wouldn't hesitate and not an instant to put water on that guy's head, as long as it took.
Absolutely. You know, I think it's the lollipops in our society that just don't understand that. Thank you, Carl. God bless you, by the way, for your call. I appreciate it. Good to hear from you. You know, I know there's a lot of lollipops out in the audience that are going to sit there and go, oh, no, Zeb, you're wrong. You can't do that. Oh, we're above that. We're better than that. No, listen. Your family is at stake. Don't you sit there and tell me that you would let your children, your sons, your daughters, your wife, or your husband suffer their demise because you had a chance to get the information. But no. We're better than that. I don't care if it's waterboarding. I don't care if it's any other force necessary to get that information, to save our families and American lives. I would get it. And now Dianne Feinstein and the Democrats, and this is just hateful to me. This is just hateful to me, are possibly going to expose a lot of information to the bad guys that they shouldn't have. Caller, please stay right there. I want to remind everybody about our Scows friends. And when I say Scows, I'm talking about the best with the car care centers. And with their CarQuest information, they are the very best. Scows CarQuest centers, where customer satisfaction is always the goal. I know these people. I know exactly how they serve you. They care and they work hard to provide the excellent service you've grown to expect since way back in 1949. And they've got a slogan at Scows CarQuest Centers that says, every detail matters. And it does. You can find all your automotive replacement products, accessories, and supplies for virtually every vehicle. And believe me, every detail does matter when you stop into the Scows CarQuest Centers at 518 Overland and Burley, 323 East 8th and Highway 25 in Rupert, and exit 211 I-84. Scows CarQuest and excellence. Now there is a winning team. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I've just been kind of jumping in and out, but, as far as this torture stuff goes, it doesn't bother me a bit. I mean, people need to be reminded of what these people have done to our people.
Yes.
They're beheaded. They've cut things off, other body parts, stuff like that. And we're worrying about dripping a little water on their heads. So what? We're talking about somebody not getting any sleep. So what? These people are 10 times worse than anything we've done to them. I don't have a problem with it.
Jeff, I know that you should see the stack of emails I received one other time when I brought this subject up about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. And I just don't care. I mean, I love my family. I love my friends and neighbors. And I do not want them to be assailed by terrorists. And possibly if someone is caught and they've got the information as to what might happen, do you think for 5 minutes that I would sit back and say, oh, well, we're just going to let him have a cheeseburger and a milkshake and we're going to treat him really kind and whatever happens, happens? No way. I'm going to get that information regardless of any treaty, regardless of anything that is considered to be torture.
Oh, I agree. And the thing is we spent millions of dollars to make that place a country club. I mean, they put a bunch of money in to have a soccer field put in and all this other stuff, so these guys had something to do. They're prisoners of war.
That's right.
Treat them as such.
And as far as
we can be humane, we can give them some place to stay, some food to eat, but that's it.
I just don't understand the mindset, Jeff, of letting this information go public at the risk of hurting our allies that were involved with many of these intelligence programs and putting everybody by name and by organization at risk with the bad guys in our society. Why? Why is it so important that we have to bare our chest on this?
Because it falls along with somebody else's guidelines for what they want done to make other things happen.
I agree. Always good to hear from you, Kilt, man. God bless you, man. Thanks so much.
You too.
All right. Got to get the weather forecast in here real fast, and it's brought to you by Mad River Laser. Oh, does she do a wonderful job. I had her make me up some custom-made business cards, wooden business cards. They are phenomenal. And also some custom-made wooden Christmas tree ornaments. Oh, yes. This lady is so talented. At Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. All the pins, all the T-shirts, the caps, everything. What a nice store. You got to get in there and meet her. She can do anything of this promotional nature. She is fantastic. Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. You stop in and see her today. Right now it's time for Michael Rogers' weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers is at the ranch. Got another nice day for today and also for tomorrow. Look for the weather action to get started on Thursday to carry us into the weekend in the form of rain, but we're not there yet. Right now, you've got a nice day. You see some clouds, too. 57 for the high, 59 for the high tomorrow. That low will be right around freezing, right around 32. Enjoy the weather. Same weather you got.
Thank you, Michael Rogers. Brought to you by Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. What a nice girl, and boy, do they do a great job on all your business and promotional products. Absolutely excellent. Give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll bite my tongue, bite my cheek, and be real quiet. If there are those lollipops out in the audience that are of the mindset that say, oh, we've got to love our enemy. And like Hillary, we've got to have empathy with our enemies. Oh, we've got to understand where they're coming from. Oh, we can't fall into the same category. Oh, we can't obtain the information. I'd love to hear from you for a few minutes until I finally blow my stack. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hi, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
Remember when the guy down there in Panama, when he was held up in that building and they didn't stand out there and say, come out, we love you, come out. They put bright lights on him for I don't know how many days, and they played that loud music. How'd they get by with that?
Oh, yeah.
That poor guy?
Yeah, the lollipops weren't there.
Oh. Well, I'll tell you what. I don't care if it's Obama's friends or not. They ought to just start cutting hands, fingers, and anything else off if they got one of my loved ones in there. I wouldn't have any problem at all.
I think the bulk of America feels the same way. We are not going to go out and promote that as something that we're proud of and something that we want to do on a day-by-day basis. But, Dwayne, I'll guarantee you that when you talk to the fathers and the mothers and the grandpas and grandmas of the people that died in the Twin Towers in New York City, to a person, and I've talked to many of them, to a person, they said, I wished we could have had a chance at the intel. I wished we could have had a chance to get a hold of some of these people and try to disrupt what they were doing. They are absolutely adamant they would have resorted to any measure to save their families.
Yeah, it's a whole different society than when I was a kid. I was a child when the Second World War broke out.
Yeah.
And I tell you, they fought, and they didn't get held back that I know of. Well, perhaps things that we didn't know about, and for a good reason, but they had loaded guns, believe it or not.
Yeah, I believe that. Hey, Dwayne, I got a whole bunch of calls. God bless you, and Merry Christmas to you, my friend. Thank you very much. Caller, I'm coming right there. Stand by. Don't forget Christmas greetings from Searles, 106 North Center Street in Oakley. Oh, my goodness, locally grown beef, best burgers and fries in town, and they bake their specialty buns every day. They are delicious at Searles in Oakley. Merry Christmas. Golden Valley Warehouse, 468 West, 1000 south of Burley. Ooh, there they go with great people, and they'd like to thank all their customers for another great year in business, selling quality seed to quality people. Golden Valley Warehouse. And Magic Valley Irrigation, 44 East, 500 south of Burley, and they're serving all of southern Idaho for over 30 years with all your irrigation needs, and they wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Thank you very much. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Yes, talk to me. Go.
Yeah, Zeb, Feinstein is one of the gun grabbers in our Congress, and we've also got a Muslim treasonous president running the country. So what can we expect?
Your point is so well taken, because I was really offended yesterday to the point of slamming my fist down and almost breaking my remote on the television when I heard that the Department of Justice had sent in people to Ferguson, Missouri, to basically stir the pot and say that white people have white privilege, and all that did was add to the hatred and the animosity that was going on there. What is this administration thinking?
Well, I think this administration is trying to destroy America, is what I think.
And they're doing, unfortunately, a very good job. Caller, good morning to you, and Merry Christmas. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
God bless you, man. Thanks. Very nice man right there. I know that when I brought this subject up about a year and a half, 2 years ago, in regards to getting information, whether it's the waterboarding or whatever means necessary, I wasn't kidding. There were a whole bunch of lollipops out in the audience that just absolutely condemned me, and they came after me via the emails. Some called me on my cell phone. Oh, by the way, if there's lollipops out there that don't have the guts to call me on the program, I'll give you my cell phone readily. It's 312-2976. I'm not going to run from you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. We've been talking about torture and things like that, but I would like to hear something from Fred Preston. He's probably your oldest listener, and believe me, he's seen a lot.
Well, he has, and I'm almost out of time in this hour, but I'll make arrangements to have Fred come on and talk some more about that in future broadcasts. But quickly, what are your thoughts? Are you going to sit back? Are you one of those lollipops, Keith, that would sit back and let your wife and your family possibly meet their demise because we were afraid to get the information?
Absolutely not. I would do anything for my family to protect them.
Absolutely.
But the thing of it is, nowadays, we have to protect ourselves against our own government.
I'm chuckling. I agree with you.
Another thing that I don't appreciate the way our wonderful news system is and everything is, why do we let the enemy know when we're coming?
Oh, it's like being in a boxing match. When you leave your corner, the manager and your boxing coach is telling the other side, hey, he's going to lead with a right cross and then follow up with a left hook. It's the dumbest thing I ever heard of, Keith.
Yeah, and then they make up dumb rules like during the Vietnam War, and probably some of the Vietnam veterans could tell us about this. But you're going down a road. If you see the enemy on the other side of the road, you're not allowed to shoot at them.
Yeah.
Because they're autonomous, I guess.
I am a pro-American, pro-USA, pro-military, pro-intelligence, get the information and protect us person. I don't care about the bad guys. That sums it up, Keith.
Where the hell is John Wayne?
Bring him back. Bring him back. All right.
I told it like it was.
God bless you, Keith. I appreciate it. Bye. Thank you. You know, he's right. Where is John Wayne? Where's that attitude? Where is that? He made an album called America, Why I Love Her. And boy, I tell you, it brings tears to my eyes. He's not a singer, but the recitation in that album is absolutely amazing. Don't forget, for your winter driving, it's your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best of traction tires, the best of tires pinned for studs, the best of tire chains. I mean, they got everything to keep you on the road and keep you going. Yes! And also the best in batteries to get that engine started and keep you going. And don't forget, too, of course, the best in brake service and shocks and struts and front end alignments. Holy cow, they can do it all for your safe wintertime driving. Stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline and Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. Yup, the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Whew, that hour went fast. Holy smokes. Coming up next hour at 9:06. I can't keep my earpiece in my ear this morning. I don't know why. If I had the answer to that, I'd be so much more comfortable. But at 9:06, we're going to have Scott Bedke on the air, Speaker of the House, and Representative Scott Bedke. And then at 9:30, we've got Jake Wood. And I like Jake. I've never had him on the program before, but I've read some of his works. And he's an author that has a book called Take Command. Lessons in leadership that apply to businesses and everything else. I absolutely am looking forward to that. So that's coming up in the next hour right here at Zeb at the Ranch. Scotty's over there running the board, and he says, Zeb, let's hear some music, and then we'll go to the news. I'll see you in 6. Like that. Good morning. Hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell, and Scotty's filling in for Gina over there at our studios and doing a wonderful job. I tell you, I just love those folks. Gina and Scotty have done so much for us, and we appreciate them. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell, and our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, along with our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends at Western Way Services. Let's try that again. And our friends at Western Way Services. Are they there, Scotty? There we go. And all across southern Idaho, we're always going to Western Way. The end. Find out who it is. It's on. Holy cow, Well, we got phones going off and everything else. Good morning, everybody. Zeb at the ranch, and thanks to Western Waste Services. They do a wonderful job serving you, getting rid of your garbage. That's right, they're always at your disposal. All you have to do to call and get on the route service is call 734-6969. We've been on the route service for many years. You can almost set your watch by those folks. They are that dependable. Great, great folks. And don't forget, too, they've got the dumpsters in various sizes. They can get rid of your garbage. 734-6969, Western Waste Services. We've got Speaker of the House and Representative Scott Bedke coming on in just a few minutes. Stand by for that. But I also want to remind you about Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with our dear friend Joel Heward. Hanson Mortuary has been one of our big supporters of our lunch bunch, and we really appreciate everything they do. And the whole family serves you at Hanson Mortuary. That's exactly right. Flexible hours, always helping you in the time of an emergency when there's the passing of a loved one. Believe me, Hanson Mortuary and Joel Heward always using and upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Please, write the number down and give them a call for pre-planning on funerals and help alleviate a lot of the stress and the worry for our families. 436-5636, 436-5636, and that's Hanson Mortuary serving you. Also, want to remind you real fast this morning that our friends at Cheney Floors, they are such wonderful people, and in the morning we start things off by telling you with the weather forecast with Michael Rogers Weather, Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley, 678-6945. Look for their blue door, Kyle and Whitney Cheney. What wonderful people with the carpet and the flooring and the kitchen construction and the home decor. All your Christmas decorations are there. Whatever you need to make your house a home. At Cheney Flooring and Home Design in Burley, 678-6945. Let's go to the phone lines right now and say good morning to a man that I highly respect as a politician serving us and also as a rancher in this area. And that's Speaker of the House and Representative Scott Bedke. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Zeb. How are you this morning?
I am fantastic, and let me also say Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Merry Christmas to you, Zeb. This is a great time of the year, and we're excited because we're expecting a new granddaughter on Christmas Day back in St. Louis, so we're excited for that.
Oh, well, congratulations, Grandpa. Are you going to put on a Santa Claus hat and fly back?
I'm going to fly back, but I don't think I'll be. I might have a resist doll, but I don't know that I'm going to have a Santa Claus hat.
Okay, Scott, we are not very far, just a matter of weeks away from the legislative session for 2015, and I wanted to get you on the air and talk about not only the session coming up, but also talk about the last election and things that have been happening and things that are festering, and just kind of let you have the floor and discuss anything you want for about 15 or 18 minutes. Go ahead.
All right. Well, like you said, the legislative session starts on January 12th. And this year we've expanded the capability at the Capitol to video and audio stream over the Internet. So that that's available for anyone that wants to go on the Idaho Public Television website. They can pull that in and watch us in action. The one thing that we'll do for the first 2 or 3 weeks is do rules review, and you want to tie this in back to the election. As you recall, we had HJR 2, House Joint Resolution number 2, was on the ballot, which would put in the state's constitution the legislature's ability to continue this rules review. Now we've been doing that for about 25 years, based on a Supreme Court ruling, but it was only a 3-2 ruling, and so we wanted to. We think that it's so effective in keeping the balance of power between the executive branch and the legislative branch, so we wanted to put that in the Constitution. We didn't do enough
we didn't do enough educating of our constituents and the voting public, and so that didn't pass. But I think that we'll probably bring that again for the next general election. And anyway, so based on that ruling, we will do rules review where we come in and we go through all of the rules that the executive branch has come up with, and we're going to check those rules against the legislation and make sure that it's what the legislature intended, because we don't want to ever give up, like the federal, like Congress has back in Washington, D.C. We never want to give up the legislature's prerogative to make the laws, and only the legislative branch. We don't. The executive branch is to carry out the laws or enforce the laws based on the laws that the legislative branch passes. So
all right.
We'll be doing it the very first.
Now, let me jump in here.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to jump in here, Scott, because this is extremely important. And I was really sorry to see that be defeated by a narrow margin. But all people have to do, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you're much more knowledgeable on this than I am, but all people have to do is look at what's happening on a national level right now with the pen and the phone technique of Obama. And that is how it's playing out over and above what we as the people want.
That's exactly right. We need not look any farther than Washington, D.C. The Congress has been stalemated for how many years now, yet the administration has promulgated rules in clean air, clean water, Obamacare, etc. None of that. If all of those rules had to come back to Congress and be approved, then it would be a whole different ball game. And that's something that we here in Idaho never want to give up. In other states, they do rules review, but if they find a rule that they don't like, they have to pass a bill that the governor, who is the head of the executive branch, ultimately has to sign. And if he doesn't like it, then he can veto it. But in Idaho, we have the ability to accept or reject, and without the governor's say-so. Now, we get along with this governor, and I think most people do. And out of the, literally hundreds of rules that come through, we reject very few of them. But the ones that we do, there's a problem, and the public has come to us and said, "Hey, this new rule is too onerous. It's too overreaching. It's not. We don't think it's what you meant." And then we look at it, and if we agree, hey, yes, that's not what we meant, then we reject that rule, and then that starts the rulemaking process over again, where the executive branch agencies have to sit down with the affected parties and do negotiated rulemaking. Mm-hmm. And the fact that the agencies know that if they overreach, we'll reject their rules, makes them negotiate with the stakeholders in good faith, and it's a good way to keep government in balance.
All right.
So anyway, we can talk about that at a future time. It's too bad it didn't pass. It didn't pass. We'll work on it coming up. As we go forward here, all Idahoans need to be happy that the economy is improving. We anticipated that this year the revenue would come in at about 4.5% more than it did last year, and through November it's running at about 5.5% more than last year. So that's good news, and I think most Idahoans are starting to feel that it's not as tight as it was a couple of years ago. Having said that, this budget that we set and this will be for the fiscal year that starts next July, that budget is going to be, for the first time, back in 2008, we set a budget that was just about $3 billion. And then we went into the recession. And so we went from $3 billion-ish, a little under $3 billion, down to $2.3 billion. And now we're working our way up. And this will be the first year that we set a budget as big as we did back in 2008. So that's good news, but that also tells you just how deep the recession was here in the United States and here in Idaho. So I think that we, as legislators, did a good job. We lived within the people's means. We didn't change one line of tax code, and that was the amount of, that was just indicative of how bad the economy was. We had to get by with about 20% less money than we did the year before. Now, and again, that we contrast Idaho to the United States. Idaho has done what the United States of America has yet to do, and that is to live within its means and balance its budget on an annual basis, just like every other business, just like every other household has to do. And so that's good news.
Scott,
as we go forward here, the election gave us a new superintendent of public instruction, and this lady is coming straight from the Mountain Home School District, and she's got a big task ahead of her to implement the task force, the governor's task force on education has a list of recommendations that they would like to see put into practice, not only policy-wise but money-wise. And so it's going to be on us this session to come up with policy that we can afford. Number one, because we're not going to break the budget just to do some new initiative in public schools. I think that, however, I on this tiered licensure thing, and that's become kind of a dirty word, I think the changes that they made just this last month are pretty good, and that they're going to raise the requirements for someone to become a teacher. So they're going to be on probation for 3 years, but then once they get their license and become a teacher, then I think we're all agreed that we need to quit jerking them around and let them do their job, and then pay them adequately for that job. And so that's what that's exactly going to look like is too soon to tell. The new superintendent, Sherry Barr, has got to get her sea legs, but I think she's capable, and to the extent she surrounds herself with good staff, because that's a big department there. Anyway, that she'll be successful.
Scott, let me ask you. Let me ask you a question here in the time remaining, because I want to make sure we cover a lot of different venues here. One of the things I know that's going to come up in discussion, and one thing that you've always been very open about on this program, is what about the funding for increased value of our infrastructure, our bridges, our roads, etc. The federal government is trying to push through a huge gas tax. Now the gasoline prices have gone down a little bit, but my contention is if they will absolutely earmark that money to stay for the infrastructure, I wouldn't be opposed to it. But the federal government, they'll probably use it for something like a hamster on a treadmill. Is there any way that states can raise the money and keep it earmarked just for roads, highways, and bridges?
Well, I think that certainly the money that we raise from the state gas tax and the state, and the registration on cars, that is dedicated money to the roads as you just described. It's divided between the local jurisdictions, the highway districts, and the cities and counties, and the state system. But it has to go on the road, either for maintaining the roads we have or constructing new roads. The buying power of our gas dollars, our tax dollars, we raised the gas tax last in I believe in 1996 and moved it to the 25 cents a gallon that it is now. But that same 25 cents per gallon in 2014 buys quite a bit less than it did in 1996. And if you couple that with the fact that cars are more efficient compared to the car that you drove 15 years ago or 20 years ago to the one you today, plus the trucks that are on the highway, they're getting at least double the mileage per gallon that they used to, and everything is based on a per gallon. The tax is based per gallon, so there's a lot more traffic out there. But each car is using less fuel, so it's not keeping pace. I think that that's something that is becoming a growing issue. and that the legislature is going to have to tackle that. And I think we need to do that ahead of the federal government and come up with a way, because I don't trust the federal government any more than you do. Although right now, for every dollar of federal excise taxes, road taxes that we send into the federal government, the federal distribution formula sends us back over $1.50. So, but we've got a lot of federal lands and whatnot, and so I don't know that we're getting more than our share. But if you're a state like California who's sending in $1 and only getting 78 cents back, or New York sending in $1 and getting somewhat less than 80 cents back, then you're starting to get tired of that. And because you have road issues too that they've left unaddressed. Now Idaho's done a good job keeping up the roads that we have with with the money that we do, but it's just but the math is starting to catch up with us here in Idaho, and we're going to have to address that at some point.
All right, we have a caller with a question calling in quickly, and I've only got about 4 minutes left. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Quickly.
Okay, I'll ask the question, then I'll hang up. This last summer, they repaved between Rupert and Burley, and then they come in and painted the stripes on it. A week later, they come in and chip-sealed it and come in and painted the stripes again. Can they manage the money a little better for the road so it'll do a better job for us?
It's a good question. Scott, go ahead, please.
Well, if you could see me, you'd see a big grin on my face. That kind of stuff just drives me crazy, frankly. Just like it, obviously prompted the caller. It just takes some coordination to do that. Now, I understand that they need to mark it and they can put those little plastic things in so that it shows up after they seal coats or put the chip seals down. But painting it twice, I mean, give me a break. And that's not to say that this happens all the time and whatnot, but it happens enough that we get these types of calls, and it's not right. You can't defend that.
Scott, I want to ask you real quick, and I've got just minimal time left, but I want to ask you, you've been very instrumental working with other states and attending meetings in Salt Lake in regards to possibly taking back into our state federal lands, and we, the state of Idaho, would manage the lands. How is this progressing? Because I'm a big advocate of kicking the feds off as many acres as we can.
Well, the issue is certainly alive and well. We've got to do, just like on HGR2, we've got to educate our neighbors. And but the best example of what this could look like, we don't need to look any farther than the state's endowment land. The state of Idaho manages about 2 million acres of forest and rangeland within the borders here, and every year there's and we saw by the road example, we don't run the tightest ship in the world, but it's a lot tighter than the federal government. But every year we put back about $50 million into education from the net receipts off of these lands. And but there's 37 million other acres that are managed by the federal government, and they do that at a great loss to the Treasury each year. We can, and with the job that we're doing on the forest lands and on the range lands is every bit as good as, and many times better than the federal land management model. Our land management model works, and it works from a biological perspective, and it works for a local economy perspective. And it's something and the good news is that we can take that same model, overlay it on the adjacent federal lands, and expect the same results. So we're certainly working on that. Next Monday, as a matter of fact, I'll be in Salt Lake meeting with a coalition of other states. This time we're talking about the sage-grouse issue here in the Intermountain West, because that's another issue that is on our horizon, and we want to get a coordinated approach with these other states, coming up with a state plan that keeps the bird not listed and keeps the traditional uses of the rangeland, much like it is now. But their environmentalists want to shut down oil and gas exploration. They want to shut down grazing, and so they're using the sage-grouse as a surrogate issue. The bird is alive and well. out there. Of course, fires are hard on their habitat, and we get that.
Absolutely.
But I'm optimistic that we'll keep sage-grouse off the endangered species list.
I hope so. Speaker of the House, Representative Scott Bedke, thank you so much for your time coming on the program this morning, and don't make yourself a stranger. Come back, and to you and your family, and especially the new one that's due on Christmas Day back in St. Louis, Merry Christmas.
Well, thank you, Zeb, and my best to you and Deanne and your kids.
All right. God bless. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, Speaker of the House, and just a really good guy to talk to on the radio, and we appreciate him, Scott Bedke from Oakley. Thank you very much. Got to pay some bills here right now, and I want to give a Merry Christmas wishes from Burley Glass. Hello, Gentle Ben. I think I saw him in a pick-em-up truck yesterday. Burley Glass, 1029 Overland in Burley, with Gentle Ben and the crew and all your great Western windows. Get rid of those old drafty windows and get some good windows with Burley Glass, 1029 Overland in Burley, and they wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas. How about two Merry Christmas wishes from Sandy's Sewing Center at 1234 Oakley Avenue in Burley? My goodness, I got phones going off all over. Deanne, could you grab this phone for me real quick? And also, I want to remind you that Sandy and the rest of the crew, huge selection of polar fleece, and she can make fabrics into a quilt for you. We got phones ringing here this morning. Sandy Sewing Center, 1234 Oakley Avenue in Burley, wishing you and yours a Merry Christmas. And Easy Money Pawn and Auto at 200 Overland in Burley. Oh my goodness, they're having a Christmas toy drive. Bring in an unwrapped toy and enter your name to win one of 3 packages: the Sportsman's Package, Entertainment Package, and Automobile Package. All of this at Easy Money Pawn and Auto. Deanne, turn that off, please. And that's at 200 Overland in Burley, wishing you and yours very Merry Christmas. I'm sorry. My poor wife was trying to catch the cell phone, trying to get over here and catch the office phone, and then the office phone, the answering machine went off, and she was like, where do I go? What do I do? I'm laughing, Deanne. It was funny. Oh, my goodness. Don't forget the Book Plaza with our dear friend Colonel Dale at the Book Plaza, 222 West 11th Street in Burley. Oh, my goodness. They've got books. They've got books all over the place. Yes, sirree, Bob. You got to get in there. 3 floors of books. Thousands of books, along with jewelry and decorating items. And don't forget, they've got a new children's book department that's been created by Colonel Dale, and an expanded music department. All of this at Whipple's Book Plaza at 222 West 11th Street in Burley. You stop in, and they wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Easy, Deanne. Easy. Just sit down, relax. She hates telephones. I don't blame her. Hey, by the way, too, we want to acknowledge our friends at Let's Ride. Oh, man, Nick and the rest of the crew. If it wasn't for Nick about 4 or 5 years ago, I would not have had the fun of ATVing. I mean, I just absolutely owe him that fun. That's where the fun is sold, over at Let's Ride, Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. And I'll tell you what, they've got great Christmas gift-giving ideas. Clothing and accessories for motorcycles, ATVs, and snowmobiles. Oh, and speaking of snowmobiles, they've got the brand new 2015 Yamaha snowmobiles in there, and they're just waiting for you to climb aboard and head for the hills. My goodness, they got something for everybody right over there at Let's Ride, Highway 24. Between Rupert and Burley. You stop in, because that definitely is where the fun is sold at Let's Ride. In just a moment, we're going to have our guest on the phone, and that's Jake Wood, author of the book Take Command, Lessons in Leadership, and I'm really looking forward to talking to him about that. But I also want to remind you about our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. My goodness, Dean Cameron, Todd Siemens, dedicated and responsive to your needs, and very accessible when it comes to talking about your life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. They can do it all and help you to make sure you've got a solid program protecting you. So please get a hold of them today. Call their office number at 436-4424, Cameron and Siemens Siemens Insurance. Let's go to the phone lines right now, and I have never had this man on my program to my knowledge, and I'm looking forward to talking to him this morning. And he is a former Marine sniper and author of the book called Take Command, Lessons in Leadership. I'm interested in hearing all about it. Good morning, Jake Wood. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. How are you doing today?
It is a pleasure to have you on the program this morning because I love the title, Take Command. I don't like these folks that sit back and they're kind of wussies and they wait for everybody else to jump in and do something. You're telling in this book how to have lessons in leadership and be a first responder in business. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about the book, Jake, if you would, please.
Yeah, so the book is really, a series of lessons that I've learned over the last 15 years of my life. 15 years ago, I was playing college football at the University of Wisconsin. Thought I learned a thing or two about leadership there, and about 4 years later, found myself in the Marine Corps in Iraq and Afghanistan, and certainly learned a thing or two about leadership overseas on the battlefield. And for the last 5 years, I've been leading a startup organization called Team Rubicon. We organize, train, and volunteer military veterans for disaster response. And so as an entrepreneur, I've learned even more. And so over the course of these 15 years, I've really learned what it takes to build and lead what I refer to as high-impact teams in the book. And really what I've developed is just a loose framework for how to lead in those types of situations, how to make decisions with limited information, how to lead people through those complex scenarios and find success when the odds are really stacked against you.
Holy cow, I didn't know that you were a former grad of the University of Wisconsin. That's where I went to school.
Oh, no kidding. Well, I'm not as proud of saying it today as I was last week before the Big Ten championship game. But man, oh man, go Badgers!
I tell you what, of course, now I'm quite a bit older than you are because I can remember being in school, and you probably don't even remember these names: Ron Vanderkellen, Pat Richter, and Pat was an All-American for the University of Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. That's when I went to college back there.
Yeah, I know Pat just briefly from when he was the athletic director when I was there. But yeah, I mean those are some legends. I had the opportunity to play football for Barry Alvarez, and certainly learned a lot about how to lead from that man and from my position coach. But it was some of the greatest years of my life over there in Madison.
Now, when you were a sniper in the military, and where did all these thoughts come about in your mind to put together a book and tell people that to prepare, analyze, decide, and act in today's business? I mean, how did all these thoughts come together so that you could put these in the form of a book?
Well, truthfully, I didn't set out to write a book. I was approached about 2 years ago by Crown Business, a publishing house out in New York, and they asked me, primarily because of the work I've been doing since the Marine Corps with Team Rubicon, if I'd be willing to write a book on leadership. And, at first I was hesitant. I'm still young. I'm 31 years old. I feel like I'm a good leader, but I certainly don't have all the answers to all the tough questions. But, one thing that I think I can do well is tell stories really, really well. And I've had the unfortunate experience of being in a lot of really tough situations. I served 2 combat tours. I've been in some of the worst disaster zones in the world over the last 5 years. And those terrible situations have provided me a lot of opportunities to test my leadership and to learn really hard lessons. And, this publisher believed that I, had something that people might be willing to read. And I think the product is a good book that, explains how to lead teams in tough situations.
Now, you break this down on some of the cheat sheets that I have here in front of me, Jake. And in taking command, you say that, number one, a leader has to be prepared. Go ahead and tell us just a little bit about preparation and why you've got to be kind of the big bandy rooster in the hen house, because you've got to know what you're doing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that one thing that the military just instills in everyone is that preparation, prevents poor performance. And, I start that chapter in the book with a story from sniper school. I spent months and months preparing for my chance at sniper school. I thought I was in the best shape of my life. I'd taken, I'd been doing all of the exams in the lead up and everything. And I thought I was prepared. And I found out in those first couple of weeks that, man, I was woefully unprepared. And I learned over the course of the 13 weeks in sniper school what it means to prepare yourself holistically, mentally, physically, and emotionally, which many people forget to do and often ignore. But when you have those three things, when you constantly testing yourself against those three things and improving yourself, then you develop fortitude, right? And fortitude is what can pull you through tough situations regardless of the circumstance. And I think that, you only get that high level of fortitude when you are addressing all three of those areas in preparation.
And the next step that you had on this sheet was analyze. And I'd like to ask you a question there. Before you wrote the book and came up with your own leadership qualifications on how to take command, did you go and basically shadow other business leaders and kind of write down notes as to how they led their business before you came up with these different points of interest?
Not really. I'm a fairly busy guy running our own company here, and don't have a whole lot of opportunities to go and shadow other individuals. I do have some really great mentors, and I've always been a pretty devout reader. I try to devour as many books on leadership and business as I can to just really improve myself as a leader. I think obviously leadership's a journey, and you're never at the finish line. But I'm always searching for other perspectives. I think it's one of the things that I address in the book is the importance of shifting perspective, the importance of putting yourself in others' shoes and viewing situations and problems and challenges from other angles. I think it's critical to improvement. It's critical to success.
One of the points that I've noticed where business leaders in various companies probably fall down is they do not make a decision and stand behind the decision, and they're very slow to make a decision. How would you respond to that?
Yeah, I think that there's always a decision to be made. I think one of the quickest ways to demoralize a team is for a leader to be indecisive. And, the thing that I always try to stress with people that are leading teams in tough situations is that you don't have to make a decision that solves the entire problem at that moment. You need to make a decision that makes some modicum of progress towards some stated goal. And, that can be as large a decision or as small a decision as is dictated by the situation. But if you're trying to get from A to D, take your team to B first and then reassess. What that does is it gets you a quick win. It keeps the morale of the team high. It demonstrates your ability to lead and have success. And it obviously it serves to change your perspective, which I already talked about. You are now able to reassess the situation from a different perspective, which might change the outcome of the decision that you make.
What is the 80% rule that you talk about?
Really what I try to stress with people is that you're never going to have everything you need. You're never going to have all the information that you want. And it goes back to what I just said. Make progress towards a goal.
I see.
You might think you need the 100% solution to get all the way across the finish line. The reality is that so many of the assumptions that you've made are going to prove false once you start your journey. So don't hesitate. Don't wait for that perfect solution to unfold, because chances are by the time you think that you have it and you start working towards that solution, assumptions are going to be proven wrong. New information is going to become available. Resources are either going to come online or be depleted, and the situation is going to change drastically. So if you accept that reality, then you're more comfortable with working with imperfect plans. And having imperfect plans forces you to have flexibility. It forces you to develop teams that are able to make decisions in an instant and adapt to the situations that are presented to them. That's really what the 80% solution is.
And, I like the last point that basically, in reference to a sports analogy, have a game plan and act on the game plan. Get the job done, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you look at any successful team, what they do is they empower their quarterback, right? If you're talking about a football analogy here, you give that quarterback a series or a set of plays on any given down, and you allow that quarterback to read the defense that's presented them. You might make assumptions about what kind of defensive package they're going to put in, but then you actually get the reality of the situation faced at the offensive line. If that quarterback is empowered to audible out of it, now you have a real chance of having success on that one single play.
Absolutely. Now, what about the book, Take Command? How do we go about getting a copy of this?
Well, it's available in most brick-and-mortar retailers, Barnes & Noble and all of those. and, of course, online. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it on any number of online retailers, and my website is jake-wood.com. You can find it there as well.
Now that you have written this book and you've closed the cover, when people read the book, what's the number one thing you want them to take away from the book and remember above all else?
I think I want people to walk away from reading it just a little bit more confident to lead teams into tough situations. I think often people, they cringe when they think of taking ownership of a team or a project that has a high chance of failure. And really what I want to show people is that, listen, leading people, the more complex the situation is, the simpler you have to make how you approach it, right? And really when you do that, I think what it does is it inspires confidence in people. And so I want people to walk away from this feeling more confident, more capable of walking into those situations and walking out the other side successful.
I'll tell you what, anybody that's a member of our fraternity of the University of Wisconsin and football, and by the way, the Packers won last night, but they made me sweat for a while.
Great.
Jake Wood.
Yes, they did.
And Take Command, Lessons in Leadership, How to Be a First Responder in Business. I wish you well. I'm going to get a copy of the book. I'll read it, and I'll call and see if I can't get you back on the air. Jake, Merry Christmas to you. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
All right. Thank you. Interesting young man, Jake Wood, and his book, Take Command, Lessons in Leadership, How to Be a First Responder in Business. I got to get that. And no matter how old you are or what kind of a business you're involved in, we can all learn how to be more successful and apply possibly more dynamic approaches to our business to make decisions. And like he said, analyze the situation, make decisions, and act and make the company more money. I like that. Jake Long and his copy of the book, Take Command, Lessons in Leadership. Oh, my. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, my goodness, Santa's favorite place to shop. There's only a matter of, teen days left, right? Already, this is December the 9th, and we're looking at, my gosh, just very few shopping days left before Christmas. So why don't you stop into Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, and check out all the sofas. Check out all the recliners. I mean, hey, wait a minute. I got to tell you that when you get a recliner, it's a very personal experience. You've got to go in there and find the recliner that best fits you. Everybody's different. Some of us are real tall, some of us are real short, some of us are real skinny, and some of us aren't, and so you got to find just the recliner that fits you, and they've got a great display of recliners right there at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. And they've got all the bedroom sets, and then they've got all the accessories too, like the window coverings and the clocks and the mirrors and the artwork. Oh my, you better stop over there and shop for your Santa Claus at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 459 Overland in Burley. They are waiting right now to serve you. Really good folks. I think what we'll do is a weather forecast, and then we'll come back and kind of turn it into an open forum, and we'll talk about anything you want to this morning for the remainder of this hour. And so give us a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. The weather is brought to you by Urgent Care of Jerome, 133 West Avenue A, Suite B in Jerome. Absolutely minor emergencies, not to worry. They provide major care. They will see you today. So stop over or give them a call at 324-2004. Wonderful people, and I'll tell you what, at Urgent Care of Jerome, always accepting a variety of insurances, including Medicaid and Medicare, and whether it's an ear infection or a strain or a fracture or injuries due to accidents, just please give them a call. They're there to serve you, and stop in now. Urgent Care of Jerome, 324-2004. Here now, Michael Rogers weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers is in at the ranch. Got another nice day for today and also for tomorrow. Look for the weather action to get started on Thursday to carry us into the weekend in the form of rain. We're not there yet. Right now, you've got a nice day. You see some clouds, too. 57 for the high, 59 for the high tomorrow. That low will be right around freezing, right around 32. Enjoy the weather. Send the weather you got.
Thank you very much, MichaelRogersWeather.com. Brought to you this hour by Urgent Care of Jerome, 133 West Avenue A, Suite B in Jerome. Minor emergencies, major care. They will see you today. 324-2004. Okay, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like to hear from you. And while I'm waiting for your phone call, LeBron James, I think, is the greatest basketball player in the world. LeBron James, I think, has taken his play and his abilities to another level. LeBron James has been afforded a lot of things in life because of his basketball skills. And last night, he lost my support, probably forever. Because I think he did something in a show of, against the police that really bothered me. He wore in the warm-ups a T-shirt that said, "I can't breathe." And this is a very volatile issue, and I know people have the right of expression, but I think athletes, especially like LeBron James, that have been afforded so much in this country, for him to come out and say that he's taking the side against the police in this United States, I think was basically offensive. And I know that a lot of people are wearing T-shirts for the Ferguson issue and then also for what happened in Staten Island, New York. Everybody has a right to their own opinion. But for someone that has been basically given so much in this country, and then for him, LeBron James, I think, to come out with a T-shirt that says "I can't breathe" and basically a show of his animosity possibly against the police, I'm not sure that was necessary. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zev. I think one of the best former NBA players to put his best foot forward is Shaquille O'Neal. That guy has done nothing to embarrass this country that I know of.
I can't think of anything that he has done. I got to tell you, and I mean this, and I know we're getting off the subject a little bit, Keith, but as a salesman, a pitchman on television for various products, there is something about Shaquille O'Neal, and there's something about his face and his facial expressions. The guy is a natural-born salesman.
He is a teddy bear.
You go ahead and call him what you will.
Well, he's a big teddy bear that you can't help but like. But, when he was playing, I didn't think he played very well with the other children. Did you?
I hadn't thought of it in that phraseology. But let's keep in mind that Shaquille O'Neal has been a big boy all the way through high school, college at Louisiana State University, and then also into the pros. And quite frankly, his job was defined as to how they wanted him to play, what they wanted him to do, and what they expected him to achieve. And quite frankly, he did one doggone good job.
Well, I got kudos for that. Can we talk a little bit about what Representative Speaker of the House talked about?
Yeah, real quick, go ahead, and then I'll do a commercial after you're done. Go ahead.
Tenure. That the word even provokes me. Tenure, that means lifetime. And he touched on it just a little bit, and that's what made me think of it, was the fact that, for the first 3 years, the teacher's on probation, and they watch them real close. But what happens after that? Some teachers are wonderful. My daughter's a teacher, and she loves teaching children. But some people do it because of the money, the retirement, the basic things of life.
Right.
But I don't think that there's a business in this world that will put up with your antics if you're just because you've got tenure.
I have
You're
never
not doing the right job. You're gone.
No, I agree. and you and I are on the same page here. I just do not believe that people can work themselves into an untouchable or irreproachable situation. I don't believe in that, because everybody makes mistakes. Everybody can do something that's not perceived as good for the community and for society. And to be untouchable at that point, I don't like that immunity that tenure affords them.
That's something I would like Representative Deputy to maybe push forward. Here's that fact that you've got to always do a good job to keep your job.
Absolutely. And I agree with you 100%. I mean, whether it's the automobile business or whether it's the radio business, whether it's the rodeo business or whether it's the insurance business, if you can't put your best foot forward, then perhaps you better find another foot to put forward.
Well put.
All right, sir.
Nancy and I are leaving, and we probably won't be back for a couple of months. So,
well, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas and all the good things in life.
Oh, thank you so much. And by the way, we always appreciate hearing from you. And wherever you're going, Godspeed, and we'll look forward to having you back on the air when you come back. Thank you, and Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Nice people right there. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a jingle on the landline. I'd definitely like to hear from you. One thing we didn't have time to talk about this morning is the new profiling guidelines that they're coming out with the Department of Justice and Eric Holder. And for me to sit here and say that I understand that A, B, C, D, this is how they're going to work, this is what they're going to do, this is what you can expect, this is what we can't say, this is what won't be in the newspaper, this is what won't be allowed anymore. I can't. Because they basically set two different guidelines for profiling guidelines, and the TSA and federal government and I believe the Border Patrol are still going to be able to profile, but there are those of us in society that can't. It'll be illegal. And I'm going to do next week a complete story segment on this with some people back in Washington, D.C., and we're going to break down the new profiling guidelines as to what you can say, what you can't say, etc. And as far as I'm concerned, it's all balderdash. It's like I said the other day, that if two Asian people go in and rob a bank, then you should be able to tell everybody in the news media how they were dressed, what their race is, etc., so the cops can go get them. And now we're going to whitewash the situation? Are you kidding me? Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. One guy that we haven't talked to at all this morning, and he's done such a wonderful job for me, filling in for the beautiful Gina Jameson, is Scott Cameron. Scott, what are you doing over there while I'm chattering away over here at my end?
I'm just paying attention and learning and doing a little bit of production work as well.
Are you all set for Christmas?
I'm not even close.
Now, when you say not even close, are you one of these guys that waits till the 11th hour and then puts on your Santa Claus hat and runs all over and gets everything for the rest of the family?
Not necessarily that soon or that close to Christmas, but I'm kind of a last paycheck till Christmas kind of guy.
So you don't have any clue as to what you're going to get or who you're going to shop for, right?
Well, I know who I'm going to shop for. I'm just not sure what I'm going to get yet.
Okay. So I guess I could be rude and say, what'd you get me?
Well,
you haven't done that shopping yet. No, I tell you what, I hate to shop, and the last couple of years at Christmas time, unfortunately, I haven't been able to really do a lot of walking around stores and everything because of that problem with my knee, and I've had to get a surrogate shopper, and that has been absolutely the greatest thing I've ever done.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I don't think I've ever even heard of a surrogate shopper before.
All you do is just hand them the money and tell them to go get the certain item, and the headaches are no longer yours.
I've got one of them. It's called a fiance.
Easy, buddy, or she won't be a fiance very much longer.
You've got a call.
All right, we'll take that call. Quickly, go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
Thursday, do you think that you can get Dr. History to come to the lunch bunch?
You know what? That's a good question, and he just walked in the door, and in just a moment I'll ask him if he can come over there to Lunch Bunch. It'd be nice to have him there. And also, don't forget, Carl, earlier that morning we're going to be over at Valley White Home and Ranch for that great big Christmas remote broadcast at 910 South Oneida in Rupert. We're going to be over there. We got Ken Mort that's going to be singing Christmas carols all morning, free cinnamon rolls, and they've got some great store specials, and we just love to have you stop there first before you go to Denny's for lunch bunch.
Zeb, I'm going to try. As a matter of fact, I like Valley White. That's where we get all of our dog food.
Oh.
And it's a great store.
Well, they're super nice people, and then, of course, we'll have the lunch bunch at Denny's, and we're going to have a lot of door prizes. We're going to have all decorated up in Christmas. It's kind of a combination Thanksgiving and Christmas gathering. So I hope you enjoy and can make it, along with everybody else. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I know. You want a turkey over there, right?
I don't know about the turkey, but I'll guarantee you we're going to have a lot of fun at both locations, Valley White Home and Ranch, and then also the Denny's Lunch Bunch on Thursday. We got a big day coming up.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm hoping my lovely bride and I can be there.
All right. Well, listen, God's blessings to you. Have a great day, okay?
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
I'm looking forward to Dr. History.
All right. I'll ask him. Thank you. Real quick, before we turn it back over to Scotty, don't forget the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. What is the menu for today? Oh, this is one that'll warm you up and make you feel good. Texas chili over rice with cornbread. I love cornbread and super salad. This is good eating all the time, anytime at the Chadwick Sports Grill. Great menu items, always great specials, and an environment to where you can just enjoy looking around while you're there at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Again, Texas chili over rice with cornbread and super salad is on the menu today at the Chadwick. Don't miss that. Also, let's see if I got time to get this in here real quick. Let me take a look at my watch. I want to remind you about Valley White Home and Ranch. We're going to be over there at 910 South Oneida this Thursday for the entirety of the broadcast, starting at 8 o'clock in the morning and going to 11. Free cinnamon rolls. Sophie's Chatterbox cinnamon rolls. You don't want to miss this down there as long as they last in the morning. And Ken Mort singing Christmas carols, all kinds of great store specials at Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. There you go. Got to run to the news. I'll be back in 6. Don't go away. Good morning. Good morning. Look at that sky outside. Kind of a broken cloud cover, but a beautiful day. I got to catch my air. I ran away from the desk, which is an oxymoron for me. I don't run so good. And then ran back during the break. And we're going to have Dr. History with us on the air in just a moment. Stand by for that. Zeb at the Ranch brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers that include Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. And also our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service. Call them today, 734-6969. Let's see. One of the things I want to mention to you is our friends that we have sponsoring our great segment on Thursdays, and that's, of course, Cache County School Days. And we'd like to thank A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley for being one of those sponsors. And if you'll go in and mention my name, Zeb Bell, you could receive 25% off any item. That's right, and they got hundreds of new new toys, Tinker Toys, Lincoln Logs. I used to love to play with the Lincoln Logs when I was a little guy. And all the games, arts, crafts, everything at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. And also the Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. And if you've met your deductible and you need to schedule a procedure, call the Ambulatory Surgery Center at 677-8888. Hand surgeries, knee arthroscopic surgeries, colonoscopies, all those, just to mention a few, at the Ambulatory Surgery Center, 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley, along with the Child's World, bringing you school days in Cassia County. We'll take a break in a minute, but right now I'd like to introduce you to the one, the only, and many people are thankful for that. Hello, Dr. History.
Good morning, Zeb. Not quite sure how to take that.
Well, don't take it as a compliment.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
You have been such an asset to this program on Tuesdays, and a lot of people are listening. And real quick, before we get started, dr-history.com, it's growing in popularity, and what are the hits in the countries right now?
The last I checked, we were about 104,000 in 76 different countries.
Wow.
It just grows by every week. It amazes me, the different countries.
Is that a kind of a sign as to why there's so much unrest in the world?
They're listening to us, maybe. Again, I don't know if that's a compliment or not.
What are we going to talk about today?
You know, I've got a guy here that nobody has heard about.
Uh-oh.
El Fuego Baca.
Oh, I've heard of it.
Oh, have you?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I'm going to kind of steal some thunder, but the Disney Corporation back in the 60s did a TV series on him.
Okay, well, I'm going to guess 95% of the people out there have never heard of this guy. So that's who we're going to hit today.
Okay.
But, you know, to give a little pre-stuff here to the gunfighters, you know, I just want to, you know, the gunfighter as portrayed in the movies, the television screen, the dime novel, pretty much folklore. The drama of two gunslingers meeting in the street at high noon, the lightning fast draw, the roar of exploding powder, the impact of bullets, the crumpling of the body. These situations were and are basically illusions and really had little, if anything, to do with reality.
Oh, come on, Doc, you're blowing everything out of the saddle.
Hollywood, you know, but there were shootouts, you know, and occasionally guys died, and but basically the opponents of these guys, they pretty well knew if there was going to be a shootout to have the odds in their favor. Mm-hmm. For example, a gun underneath the table, things like that. But actually, and this may shake a few people, the term gunfighter did not even exist 100 years ago. In fact, back then, the newspapers referred to characters as gunmen or shooters.
Really?
So the term gunfighter and gunslinger are modern terms.
Yeah, and that's true, too, because do you remember the last movie that John Wayne was in called The Shootist?
Okay,
it's
yes.
Similar to what you're talking about.
Yeah.
They were called shooters also.
Yeah, and now another thing that's going to hopefully shake a little faith, the guys did not wear the guns down on their leg. They wore the gun up on their hip. So the movie depiction of this, hog leg gun down on their leg, about halfway down, that's not where they wore their guns.
And a lot of the people, and I think Billy the Kid was one, that they always wore them with a kind of a cross draw. Billy, I think, wore his pistol over on his left hip so that he drew it with his right hand over his left hip. Yeah. I think Billy the Kid had his over on the left hip.
Yeah.
There was a lot with the cross draw.
Yes, there was.
Yeah.
And I was just glancing to see if I had a picture of him.
I thought you did at one time.
I do, and you're right. It seems like he's got that really almost at his stomach.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Which, if it goes off, could cause a lot of indigestion problems.
he could have trouble eating. So, El Fuego Baca, last of the old-time shooters.
Okay.
Now, Mexican or Mexican-American gunslingers never achieved the notoriety of their Anglo counterparts for various reasons. Now, an Anglo might hang around town and make a nuisance of himself by shooting people for years before public patience finally tired, and some of the more aggressive citizens dangled him from the cross tie of a telephone pole. Mm-hmm. But the Mexican pistoleros received much less consideration. The Mexican Mexicans had a natural reluctance about notching dead men on their pistols. They made superb, even ruthless bandits and revolutionaries, but always formidable opponents when aroused, but that's about as far as it went. Now, the trade of gunfighting did not interest the average Mexican. But exceptions existed, and El Fuego Baca is the best-known example. Now, he had the usual characteristics common to most gunmen. He was and is controversial. He drank too much. He talked too much. The stereotype of the silent Westerner is a myth, as most of them would talk off your arm and your leg if given the opportunity, often accentuating their activities.
Right.
He had a weakness for the female gender. Surprise, right?
Yeah, I'm shocked.
He was often arrogant, and of course he showed no question about killing people.
You aren't talking about some of our politicians, are you?
No, this is El Fuego.
I see, okay.
Now, his mother liked to play baseball. Okay?
Really?
Yeah, and so it came as no surprise to anybody when she interrupted the game one evening in 1865 and gave birth on the ball field to El Fuego at Socorro, New Mexico.
No kidding.
Yeah, so they had to call timeout.
Imagine that.
Well, she gave birth to her son. Now, his father, Francisco, with the reputation of being kind of a hard case.
And he was on second base.
He was on second base. But he moved the family to Topeka, Kansas when El Fuego.
You know, that's a hard name to say, El Fuego.
El Fuego.
Why don't you just call him Elf?
Elf.
Okay.
That doesn't sound so good.
Elfie Baca.
Elfie. Well, anyway, so he moved when he was just still a young kid, a little toddler, but the lad attended school and had ample opportunities for fighting with the gringo kids who, whatever their faults, were not too familiar with Mexicans and therefore lacked the racial prejudice usually found in New Mexico and Texas. A little different there.
Yeah.
But at age 15, Baca returned to Socorro. A young man now speaking better English than Spanish. His father sold the family business in Topeka and also returned to New Mexico, becoming city marshal of Belen, a small village upriver from Socorro. Don't know if you've ever heard of that.
It's Belen.
Oh, Belen.
It's Belen, New Mexico, and I've been through there.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, one afternoon, the older Baco, Francisco, shot and killed two cowboys because they were shooting up the town. So he just up and shot them. Well, a court decreed he went too far in the performance of his duties and put him in jail in Las Lunas.
Yeah.
Well, El Fuego, knowing his dad was in jail, cut a hole in the roof and pulled his father to safety, after which Francisco fled to one of the settlements near El Paso.
Okay.
Now, young Baca, El Fuego, continued living in the New Mexico community of Socorro until 1884, when at the age of 19, he had already built himself a solid reputation as a gun hand. He even purchased a mail-order badge and pretended he had some kind of legal authority. Now, an opportunity to show off his stuff came when a deputy sheriff from Frisco, New Mexico, told some tales of how the cowpunchers were terrorizing the village. So, here's an opportunity. So, El Fuego pinned on his badge, which again was fake, declared himself a lawman, and conducted a private investigation.
I see.
Now, it revealed the nearby Slaughter outfit, and I think you've heard of the Slaughter outfit.
The Slaughter gang, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They were the chief troublemakers.
Yep.
In particular, a cowboy named McCarty. Well, he would habitually ride up and down the main street, shooting at signs and whatever else attracted his fancy. So El Fuego looked up the Justice of the Peace and asked him to swear out a warrant for McCarty's arrest. Well, the Justice of the Peace said something rather profane, indicating that Baca should go back to Socorro.
Yeah, nuts to you.
Yeah, and so the Justice of the Peace obviously had no interest in taking McCarty to jail. So anyway, undeterred, Baca headed uptown to check out the lawbreakers. He found McCarty and some friends gathered in the street, all minding their own business, supposedly, but doing it in a loud tone of voice. Well, Baca grabbed McCarty by the collar, stuck the business end of his pistol in his ear, and ordered him to step lively toward the jailhouse.
That is one body crevice that you really don't want a Colt 44 stuck in.
No, not at close quarters.
No.
So anyway, he said that, tomorrow you'll be taken to Socorro for trial. Well, late that afternoon, a group of cowboys led by the slaughter foreman confronted Baca near the jail and demanded McCarty's release. Mm-hmm. Well, El Fuego refused to negotiate or discuss the matter. Instead, he warned the cowboys that he would count to 3. If within that length of time the men had not moved on, everybody could consider the last number as a signal to start shooting.
Oh, this is going to get tough.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, now I'm going to stop you right there.
Okay,
this is what they used to do on Saturday mornings with those cereals, and the organ music would go. Okay, we're going to come in quickly and say more about El Fuego Baca in just a moment. But right now, let's talk about Merry Christmas wishes from AMI 719 Overland in Burley. Look for the big 28-foot wrench over their door and go nuts over their bolts. Absolutely the greatest of guys, Alan, Corey, Eric, Rob, the whole crew wishing you a very Merry Christmas at AMI. Also, Pro Paint with Barbara and the crew at 1116 Overland Avenue in Burley. Best stains, best paint, best advice right there. Get fixed up for your holiday gatherings and make sure you get the best from Barbara at Pro Paint. Merry Christmas. And our buddy Joe Taylor, 1826 Overland Avenue in Burley with Carrie and Adams Realty. Buy or sell real estate. This man, one call does it all to Joe Taylor, 678-9400. Merry Christmas from all of those good folks to you this morning. And now, more about El Fuego Baca.
All right. When we left him, he had a group of the slaughter guys, and he told them he was going to count to 3, and then the shooting would start.
Oh, boy.
Well, Baca immediately and calmly began to count.
1.
Not hesitating between numbers.
2.
And 3. And when he said 3, he pulled his pistol and started shooting.
Oh, my goodness, he did it.
He didn't hesitate.
Oh.
Well, a bullet nipped the leg of a rider, and the other shots kind of went wild, and I'm suspecting maybe that was on purpose. I don't know.
They really weren't the best shots.
Not always, no. Well, instead of the cowboys firing back, they were on horses. Well, the horses were rearing up, jumping up and down, state of confusion.
Yes.
Now, the foreman's horse flipped all the way over and actually killed the trail boss.
Oh, my goodness.
You've seen that happen with horses rearing.
Well, I mean, you're in the middle of a shooting gallery. What do you expect?
Right. Well, the cowboys carried him off, and the town kind of stayed quiet for the rest of that day and all night.
Did he count to 3 again?
Well, no, but it's going to get a little worse.
Oh, boy.
The next morning, another justice of the peace agreed to try McCarty. Well, Baca took his prisoner to court, and the judge fined the cowboy $5 for disturbing the peace.
Oh, that broke him.
Yeah. So, now, when it was all over, the angry cowboys began milling in the street. Baca knew he was in deep trouble. Mm-hmm. Well, someone fired a shot, and he took off sprinting down an alley.
I see.
Now, if you can picture this, there was a tiny shack that provided the only cover. But there was a woman and 2 children inside.
Oh, boy.
So El Fuego chased them out and settled down in this little tiny shack to defend himself.
Oh, so he chased the mother and the children out into the danger area.
Right.
And El Fuego, being the neat guy that he was, he stayed inside the house.
Exactly.
I
see. Okay, now rancher Jim Hearn rushed the building while carrying a rifle, but he wasn't firing. Well, Baca pumped 2 bullets into him, and Hearn staggered off to die.
There might be something said for the fact that learn how to shoot your gun.
Yeah. If you're going to be rushing towards somebody, you might ought to be shooting.
Yeah.
Well, on the face of it, a more unlikely spot to withstand a siege could not be imagined. The building was constructed of upright posts chinked with mud. Some of the cracks were very large, and fortunately the floor had been dug out about 18 inches below ground level, and that's what saved Baca.
So he dug a hole?
Well, it was already there.
Oh.
The ground level was already about 18 inches below inside the cabin.
Oh.
So picture this little log cabin with holes all the way around where the chinking had come out.
But if he'd have been at ground level, the bullets would have gone through the logs.
Exactly.
Oh, my.
So, for the next 36 hours, the cowboys kept him pinned down in what was to be one of the most incredible one-man stands in history.
Really?
Now, picture this. Over 80 cowboys surrounded the building, and they poured hundreds, probably thousands of slugs into the shack.
And they never hit him?
Well, let me keep going.
Okay.
You're trying to steal my thunder. Well, the door alone had nearly 400 bullet holes. A broom handle was hit 8 times.
A broom handle?
A broom handle. So you can get an idea of how many bullets were going into this little shack.
If I were old El Fuego, I'd have been digging deeper.
And he may have been.
I see.
But anyway, through it all, Baca lay flat on the dirt, occasionally rising to fire through the cracks in the wall. Now, some stories say he killed several attackers, but actually, other than the Hearn guy, it doesn't seem that he actually hit anybody.
I see.
Now, the cowboys tossed torches on the roof, but the dirt prevented a fire from starting. It had a dirt roof, so not going to start on fire.
Yeah, that's a bad deal.
Now, they actually hurled dynamite, and it went off with a shattering roar.
Dynamite?
Dynamite. And it collapsed part of the roof. Now, at this point, no one knew whether Baca was still alive.
This isn't Fort Knox you're talking about.
No, this is just a little old cabin. Okay, so here we go. The next morning, they got their answer. Smoke curled up from the chimney remains, and the aroma of food reached the cowboys. Baca was fixing breakfast.
He was eating breakfast inside.
Now, which gives the question, what food did he carry on his body?
Well, not only that, but I mean, you said they shot the place to ribbons. How come the stove and everything still worked?
Well, I don't know. It must have been made of stone or something, or metal. I don't know.
Holy cow.
So here we go. The second day dragged on with only sporadic firing as many of the cowboys returned to the ranch. I guess they got tired of it.
Tired of shooting?
Yeah. But late that afternoon, a deputy sheriff named Ross, whom Baca knew and trusted, offered Baca assurance that if he came out and stood trial, no one would harm him. Well, Baca agreed on the condition that he would, if he could keep his guns. And that's how it all ended. So he came out, still carrying his guns, after having breakfast. But Baca went by buckboard to Socorro, where he stayed in jail for 4 months.
Really?
Finally, he went on trial in Albuquerque and was acquitted twice on charges of murder.
No kidding.
So, you know, frontier justice, whatever, being what it was.
Yeah.
But anyway, jail time gave Baca an opportunity to think about life in general, and he made up his mind to be a criminal lawyer and peace officer.
Now, wait a minute. Did anybody ever find out that he was a phony sheriff?
That's a good question.
Homework assignment.
Yeah. But anyway, he also made up his mind to get married. And at the age of 20, so here he is, only 20 years old, he finally got married.
Well, at least he could cook.
Yeah, he could. He'd make a good wife, right? Excuse me. You got me on that one. So a son and 5 daughters were eventually born of this marriage. Well, over the years, Baca actually did become a peace officer and acquired the customary knife and ice pick wounds common to that occupation.
Knife and ice pick wounds were common?
Yeah, trying to break up fights.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So, and he arrested a noted outlaw by the name of Jose Chavez. And I'm not real familiar with that guy, and is also instrumental in putting a guy named Jose Garcia behind bars. Garcia was a bad guy.
Real bad.
And I'm not going to go into detail, but his gruesome murder type things, he was bad.
But El Fuego caught him.
He caught him, put him behind bars,
okay, good.
So here we are, 1894, the New Mexico Bar Association admitted him to practice law.
No kidding.
So since then, as now, many lawyers thought of themselves as politicians.
Oh, my.
Is that a surprise?
Nope.
So he decided to run for office. And as time went by, he was elected mayor, county clerk, school superintendent, assistant district attorney, and district attorney.
All of those things.
Yeah. Now, I find this interesting. The story says that he was an articulate spokesman.
Really?
So he must have had what we would call, a silver-tongued person?
Yeah, he told a lot of stories when he was younger.
He did. Well, Baca spent a lot of time in El Paso and Juarez. One afternoon, a guy by the name of Celestino Otero.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, I did that slowly, you noticed. Yeah. Anyway, he supported a different faction of the Mexican Revolution, and he agreed to meet Baca at an El Paso cafe.
I see.
Now, Baca arrived, stepped out of his car, and Otero fired. The bullet struck El Fuego in the stomach.
Oh.
But the old gunman wasn't napping. He fired twice in return. Otero died with 2 bullets through the heart.
Really?
So obviously, El Fuego was a pretty good shot. I mean, here he is, shot himself, falling to the ground, still manages to put 2 bullets through this guy's heart.
Okay, so what happened to El Fuego?
Well, he survived, and an El Paso jury acquitted him, and really that was self-defense.
Yeah.
No question.
Sure.
So in his 50s now, he was a mustached guy, a little plumpish, still full of energy and long-winded stories.
Porky El Fuego.
Porky El Fuego with a mustache. He ran for sheriff of Socorro County, and most reports say he was the best peace officer Socorro ever had.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's the story.
That is.
Of El Fuego Baca. And do you remember, honestly, when Disney did this?
I do not.
Yeah, it was back in the 60s, and I can't think of the actor. You know the actor that played that part in the series El Fuego Baca. They called it The Life and Times of El Fuego Baca.
You know, it sounds familiar, but I'm sure I probably watched it.
And it was on the Disney show every Sunday night.
But, you know, actually, Baca returned to the practice of the law in New Mexico. He didn't want to retire to a rocking chair, and he was still a pretty colorful guy. And here we are clear up into 1945.
He lived that long?
So he was about, 80 years old?
Really?
75, 80?
With ice pick wounds and bullet wounds and everything.
Yeah. So anyway, a couple of months later, the last of the old-time gunfighters died in 1945 at the age of 80. Yeah.
Wow.
At the age of 80.
El Fuego Baca. Where did he die? Down in New Mexico?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. He was down in New Mexico, and back in those days, and we've talked about this before, to live almost past 50
was tough.
Was unusual, and especially for a guy in his profession.
Hey, I'm going to ask you to stay with us for a few extra minutes this morning. Can you do that?
You betcha. No problem.
Dr. History and I are going to sit through the break here at the bottom of the hour, and then we've got a couple of things we're going to take care of on the other side, and then I've got to leave early today, folks. I got to go in for a little surgery this afternoon, and so that's up in Boise, so I got to get on the road. And I want to remind you about some of our great sponsors before we turn it over to Scotty, like Sportsman's Warehouse. I'm telling you, Doc, that is my favorite place to go shop, Sportsman's Warehouse, because I go in the door and I just stop and I just go, I want that, I want that, I want that. They've got everything for the hunter, the shooter, the archery person, the fisherman, boater, everything. It's all there at Sportsman's Warehouse. All you got to do is stop in, and they've got a staff of people, absolutely, that can provide expert advice and help you with all your questions. What a great place to do your Christmas shopping.
I just going to tell you, I just bought a gun cabinet on sale there.
Really?
Great gun cabinet.
Oh, and if you talk to Reese, my old buddy, he's the manager over there at Sportsman's Warehouse, 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls, and at Sportsman's Warehouse, they wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Also, Four Paws Bed and Bath. Did you hear that you can take your St. Bernard and you can go over to that big party they've got there on Saturday, this coming Saturday from 11 to 3, and you can have that St. Bernard jump up on Santa Claus's lap, and you can have a picture of Santa before he dies. And so be sure and stop over to Four Paws Bed and Bath, 370 West, 200 South of Rupert. Bring your dogs and kitty cats over there and spin the wheel for great discounts, and they've got all kinds of great gift-giving ideas at Four Paws Bed and Bath, 370 West, 200 South of Rupert. Santa's going to be there this Saturday the 13th from 11 to 3. We are going to take a little break right now and come right back. So, Scotty, we're going to turn it over to you. We'll be back in just about 3 minutes.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much and welcome back. And I know that Dr. Turner knows Gary Shoresman, and Gary is absolutely outstanding with his writing about all the history of our Magic Valley with different books like Arid Acres, 3rd edition, A History of the Kaimana Minidoka Homesteaders. The Way We Were, The City of Rupert, and many, many other books like Stringtown, Riverton, A Window into the Past. Gary has a talent. Gary is absolutely excellent, and his fantastic books are a must for the history buff, and they're keepsakes for generations. Check out the books by Gary Shoresman at the bookstore on the square in Rupert and the Minidoka County Museum. Gary Shoresman and his books make great Christmas gift-giving ideas. We're still sitting here in the studio for a couple of more minutes because I've got to curtail things early this afternoon and get out of here and leave Deanne at home and everything, but I'm going to boogie. And we're going to be talking to Dr. Turner. And Dr. History, one of the questions I asked you when you came into the studio this morning that we thought we'd talk about for a few moments is it's always interesting to hear about the Old West and some of the great colorful personalities, Annie Oakley, Billy the Kid, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and everything. But what about the recording of history for today's heroes or different personalities? Is anybody doing that?
You know, I would hope they are. And as you and I talked earlier, I told you that with my own father, we gave him a tape recorder before he passed away. And for the last several years of his life, whenever he thought of a story, didn't matter what order it was in chronologically, we'd say, Dad, just pick up the recorder, tell the story, and we'll take the tape and we'll type it out.
I see.
And that's what I would encourage people to do, because a lot of older people, especially as you and I mentioned, the World War II vets, they've got stories, and I've noticed a lot of them will not talk about it for years and years, but sometimes towards the end of their lives, they'll start telling stories that their family didn't even know.
Yeah.
And I hate to see those stories die with those people.
You know, there was a gentleman that used to live south of Hanson, and when I first came out here in 1969, he was my neighbor up the road, and he had some of the great stories of, he was, at that time was in his 80s, so I mean, that puts way back into like 1880 when he was born, etc. And all the stories about the Utah Construction Company and the UC running cattle and wild horses up here for the cavalry, and I mean, there were so many stories, and me, big dumb me, I should have just stuck a tape recorder underneath this man's mouth and just let him ramble.
Yeah, over the years, I've talked to guys that were in World War II.
Yeah.
One particular man was liberating the prisoners of war in Japan, and some of the things he told me would kind of shake you. Another fellow, he went down with his airplane in the Pacific, him and two other airplanes. Two of them survived. One of them went down with his airplane. The other two were picked up by a submarine. Another fellow, in his bomber, he was the only one still alive in his airplane, but he managed to bring it in and land the airplane, but a bullet had come across and taken off the ends of all four of his fingers. So he only had fingers up to here.
Oh, my goodness.
So those are the stories that, and not just that, but life stories.
Stories. And who's recording these? You know, we talk about all these different things, the mountain men, and we talk about the food, and we talk about the medicinal help they had in the old days or didn't have. And yet you look at today, and like you said, from World War I, World War II, into the Vietnam conflict, Korea, etc., and the recording of these stories, I mean, I know there's some, but really, where are they?
It has to start with the family.
Yeah.
And again, not necessarily just the exciting World War II things, but the everyday struggles that your father, your grandfather, your great-grandfather, struggles that you and I have, that we think, well, they didn't have those, but yet they did.
Let me do a weather forecast, and I've got an idea that maybe we could ask for some help on that. We'll get back to that in just a moment. Weather this hour is brought to you by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. They're selling taste one bite at a time, and if you're having trouble deciding on a Christmas present for that certain person, order a Christmas gift box. Oh, those are good Christmas gift boxes from Scarro's Meats. Different prices, different types of meat. It's delicious. 324-7657. Scarro's Meats in Jerome. Here now, Michael Rogers weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers is in with the ranch. Got another nice day for today and also for tomorrow. Look for the weather action to get started on Thursday to carry us into the weekend in the form of rain, but we're not there yet. Right now, you've got a nice day. You see some clouds, too. 57 for the high, 59 for the high tomorrow. That low will be right around freezing, right around 32. Enjoy the weather. Same weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Brought to you by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew, where they sell taste, one bite at a time. Got an idea for you before we wrap up the show for today, Ken. What would it be and how hard would it be for people to jot down some of these stories, or maybe send some of those to you and I, and maybe we could start maybe doing one every now and then on this program?
You know, everybody has a story.
Yeah.
Everybody has a story. And, just even a short little blurb about maybe when they came to the Magic Valley, or even a story about their father, their grandfather, just even a short little story. Or maybe
they're pioneer families that settled here and maybe were farmers or ranchers or whatever, and moved out here like in the 1880s, and maybe get some more local flair.
Well, I've told the story. My grandmother met Diamond Phil Jack up in Albin.
Really?
And she remembers looking through the jail bars and visiting with Diamond Phil Jack.
Oh, she wasn't in jail.
She wasn't with him.
I see.
But the fellow that I met a few month or so ago that was friends, or knew Butch Cassidy.
Yeah.
You know, I know there's people in this area that have connections.
Yeah, we'd like to know some of those stories.
You bet.
Yeah. And how would they go about sending them to us? I mean, could they send them to you, email them to you, or what would be the easiest?
Sure. If they have stories, they can send it to krtburley@gmail.com.
krtburley@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to wrap it up for today and hit the road, and Dr. Turner, Dr. History, and if you want to listen to any of these other broadcasts that we've had in the past, dr-history.com.
That's the place.
All right. God bless you, and we'll see you next week. And by the way, the best to your wife. I understand she had a little accident.
Yes. Broke her arm, and she's not moving real fast, but she's doing good.
So she, in absolute honesty, can't throw that skillet at you anymore.
She's still got a right hand.
I see. Okay. Well, you're still in trouble. God bless you, man. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Dr. Turner, better known as Dr. History. We say goodbye to him, and then we'll also wrap things up right now by saying about our friends at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the very best of winter driving safety, with the best of tires, traction tires, and of course, tires pinned for studs, and all the tire chains. They've got them all for you right there at all 7 locations, and they're waiting to serve you. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, also with the best in batteries, the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts. It's all there for you with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Going to run, and I want to say right up front, thank you to Scott Cameron for filling in for the next 18 minutes or so. I've got to get on the road and run up to Boise, and we'll be back tomorrow morning at 8:06 right here on K-Bar, 12:30 a.m., and streaming live on the internet all over the world, zebbell.com. God bless you and your family. Scotty, thanks. I owe you, buddy. Have a good day.